Music, I would say, is my first passion, and I first fell in love with it in church, actually. I wasn't very religious. I don't think any of us were really that religious. We went to a Lutheran school growing up, and I believe we went to this Lutheran school because my father could find all of his expats there, you know. There's a lot of Scandinavians in the church. My father was a fifth-generation cabinet maker from Denmark, and my parents spent the first 6 years of their marriage in Denmark, where my older 3 siblings were born. And then he had a disagreement with his brother over the family business, and we ended up moving to the States. Growing up with my very strict father, he was definitely the Germanic Danish type. We didn't really get along. In fact, we really hated each other all through growing up. But it was because we were very similar. And one of the things that he was really picky about is dusting the banisters of the staircase, which is really annoying. So making sure we got around all the rungs of the staircase, all the way up and down, making sure, I mean, it was really like what you would imagine a Germanic type parent going around with the white, you know, glove and checking all the baseboards and whatnot. It really was like that. But as I got older and as I got into metalsmithing and learning how to polish and pay attention to every single detail and the finish of it, I started thinking about those frickin' staircase rungs. you know, maybe you did teach me a thing or two there. I really enjoy creating every single element of my pieces. I don't like buying anything for them. I feel like if I'm going to create this whole piece, I should be making the clasp, I should be making the chain, nobody ever should have to do all of those things, but I feel like in order for it to be a truly authentic piece and original piece, that's kind of my creed right now in my work. In the last 5-7 years, I've really been intrigued by Viking history and Norse mythology, more because I feel like there's a certain nature that is inside of me that comes from my father, and maybe it's that strength and wanting excellence and conquering everything that you're doing. And he actually was on the set of the first Vikings movie about Ragnar Lothbrok, the 1958 The Vikings with Tony Curtis and Kirk Douglas. He was actually the interpreter on the set of that movie. And you can see a couple of little scenes of him actually in the movie, which is very awesome. He looks so strong, and he was having so much fun. Norse mythology is very it's very brutal. It's very funny. I'm trying to relearn my own ideas of what the Vikings were and understand what we actually know about them, and in turn using materials that they may have used in their own works that were available to them is intriguing to me, which in turn allows me to learn something new. So right now I was able to acquire Norwegian fjord horsehair and bone from the wonderful horse farm Wonder Fjords in Wisconsin. They were very supportive in my needing to acquire these materials. They sent me 38 pounds of horse bones, which is very kind of them, and odd, I know, it sounds very odd. But they're massive. I mean, look how big these things are.
Wow.
It's remarkable. When I create a piece at the bench, I've already created it. I spend a lot of time in my brain usually right before I go to sleep. Every night, if I'm working on a piece, I'm making it in my head. From every single technique to how it's going to come together, right down to how I'm going to finish it, what tools, what materials am I going to need. Because once I get to the bench, I don't want anything to stop me from start to finish if I want to make it in a sitting. And then as soon as I get to the bench, it's already created in my head. I've already ordered all the materials I need, and it's like a frenzy. Like, I just need to finish it now. I need to create it, but I need to finish it in its reality, in its real form. For this piece, I was creating it for a metals collective show called Resonance that we had at Blue, the music club Blue here in town, Portland. And we were all to create a piece based on music. It's made out of reindeer hide, ash wood, and you can see the back. That if this was, a large drum, you would hold it right here with this stick. And then the rest of the materials this is woven Norwegian fjord horsehair. And then the rest of the piece is hand-woven fine silver in a sort of Viking style. I started taking metalsmithing and jewelry classes, and the first class that I ever took, I absolutely fell in love and couldn't get enough of it, and took every single class I could possibly take in continuing studies until I finally decided to go back to college when I was 29, and I went to Maine College of Art. And I was very, very fortunate to land a job with Springer's Jewelers, and they're a wonderful company, family-run company, and became their service manager. So what I learned there was the history of jewelry, good craftsmanship, and I was the liaison between the salesperson and the jewelers, and my office was right next to the jewelers. And with that job, I got to learn about all of the remarkable makers that we have in the state of Maine and beyond to do restorative repair on old pieces of jewelry. So that got me acquainted to some remarkable talent. Getting out of art school, it's hard for a lot of makers to stick with it, not having that structure. When I left art school, I went to Chicago. I wanted to be in a city, naturally, again, exploring. But being in the city was so good for me, and I had multiple jobs at once, and being able to experience different aspects of art, working for galleries, doing trade shows, learning how to sell art, and that was very, very important. And then when I came back to Portland, I hadn't been at the bench for a few years, and I really missed it, and I didn't quite know how to get back into it, and I was kind of like a writer's block, and so I met up with a couple of other metalsmiths, and we were all kind of talking about how can we get back into this, maybe we should form a show. And that's how the Metals Collective came to be. We created these group shows together to keep us at the bench while we were working our full-time jobs. It's funny, I was just thinking the other day how I used to organize a lot of things when I was little too. I spent a lot of time with all the kids on the street outside. I hated being inside. In fact, when I was really little, I used to have temper tantrums if I couldn't go outside. It just felt unnatural to me. I always wanted to be in a tree. I always wanted to be, learning how to play together in many different kinds of environments. Could go on forever.